Hi, welcome back to Playing on Purpose with me, Beverly Cole. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we're camping up in the Catskills on the east coast of the U.S., and it is breathtaking up here. Cool, and we have a brook behind us. I'm going to share today another magazine page collage that I will end up doing something other than what I've done before, so make sure you stay for the entire video to see the finished products. I'm using strips of leftover paper or fodder. Fodder is anything you can use in a collage, and covering this page completely. I'm not just using big strips, I'm also using some little strips and some crumbs. Crumbs are just really small pieces of fodder or leftover paper that I just can't seem to part with. So as I cover this page, it disappears underneath all of these pieces of paper. Regular glue stick, nothing fancy, just make sure you use plenty. Here's some painted paper that I made with a gel plate. And so once it's covered completely, I let it dry. Here's some tiny strips. Sometimes they may have already been attached to a piece of paper to do weaving or something with, and I can just peel them loose and make them thinner so that the paper isn't quite as thick as it would have been. Plus, if it's coming off that easily off the little strip, why would I want to use the white underneath it? Why bother to glue that back on? And just glue it to this little magazine substrate. All right, it's finished. So the next thing I do is trim the edges. You can tell that's a magazine page, but it's no longer a magazine on the other side. Sorry. It is a collage, and I could stop right there. It's a really cool piece of collage paper that I could build on, but nope, not done. Gonna cut it apart. And I started to measure, and you're gonna see this me measuring quite a bit, but trust me, it's not square. It's not straight. And as I work on it, I realize that. And I don't even bother to make 2-inch lines or anything anymore after a while, because who cares if it's straight? I mean, it's fodder. It's fun. Why would I want to make it work? I don't want to make it into work. So yeah, I don't really like to measure too much. Sometimes it's not so bad if you're, making something with a pattern and you have to make it perfect, but this is not perfect. This is imperfect. Perfectly imperfect. How about that? So here we are, and we're cutting up, I'm cutting up the magazine page, and I'm flipping them all over one at a time just for fun to see what they all look like. And there they are. 16 little collages and a strip of collage. All right, so we're going to put them back together. We're going to put them back together, but we're going to put them back together in a different way. We're not going to just glue them on like a puzzle, back the way they were. That'd be kind of boring and really kind of needless to do that. What I'm doing here is looking through the leftover pieces that I have, are large pieces of jelly plates that were done on magazine pages. So I found one that is actually the magazine page. There you can see the other side from a quilting magazine. I do have one in the pile that's not actually a magazine, it's actually a magazine transfer, which is pretty cool. So now we just play. What if we glue these just any old place, see where we go with it. So I'm attaching the smaller ones next to the larger on both sides. And I'm thinking I could cut the big one apart and then add to that. But as I cut it, I realized I didn't want that big of a piece, so I trimmed it down to a strip, and on the other one down to a strip also, and now I'm trying to figure out how I want to attach these. What if we use that long strip as a base to attach more? Instead of a whole magazine page, just a strip. Wouldn't be as thick, and it might work. So sometimes you can see the magazine strip and sometimes you cannot see it. Here we covered it up. Over to the left, we left it. We left it on the left. So I'm using those strips. And it would make sense to see the strip after all. It's beautiful. And it's original. So we're going to do that again. So we can see the strip in two places, and in the middle, there is no strip showing. It's starting to kind of look like a quilt. And I guess if I had put those pieces in a crossword, what do you call it? Tic-tac-toe board kind of thing, you know, it would look more like a quilt with all those edges around it. But I didn't do that. I'm just looking at it now. I'm thinking that would have been a good idea. But hey, what if oh my gosh, I'm measuring again. I think what happened here was I wanted it so badly to be square so I could have some beautiful triangles. But no matter how much I measure, it's never perfect. So they're wonky, and wonky's fun. And wonky is always unique. So here we have two wonky squares. And I'm gluing down some pieces that came loose. So I'm cutting them smaller and smaller. Now, with these bigger triangles, I used a straight edge. Once I get past this size, though, I start eyeballing it, which even makes it more wonky, more funky, more fun. As I'm watching this, I think I probably could have inked all the edges and, done some distressing, and there's so many things you can do. But I've never tried this before. So it's, what you're seeing is the first time I've done this. So I'm sharing with you my experimentation. Now, another magazine cover and more glue, and I'm just gluing them in wonky squares and wonky strips. That's why they're not butted up against each other, because they're so not straight that I want to be able to cut around them. So you can see they're not perfect, but they're so cool. I decided to make them into a long strip so that I had something to work with in the future. Then I decided here I'm just gluing things down with that Nouveau glue, which works so well. I decided to add fiber. That one didn't work. I wanted one that wasn't going to take over, so I used this one that was just a lot of different multicolor pieces of fiber, like woven together. So as I glue them down with the Mod Podge, matte Mod Podge that my friend Carlene gave me, she didn't want it. We don't usually use Mod Podge. It's a little bit hard to, it sticks together, but it's what I had, so I decided to use it. And I'm gluing down that fiber, and I'm spreading out the little fibers that are wrapped around the main fiber, if that makes sense. And then I had to add a little bit of eyelash trim at the end because I ran out of fibers. But there you can see at the beginning is the eyelash trim. Looks like false eyelashes. But here you can see how I spread out those fibers. Do you see them? On my baby collages. My little tiny collages. So what do you do? What do you do with this? I mean, it's so cool and fun to make. I just loved the fact that I could make this long thing and had it standing up on my table. It was so neat. But then I decided I needed to show you guys some ways to use these little guys. Okay, you guys? Let's look at these little guys. Okay, this is a small journal that I made earlier. I think it was July. Here's a pocket made out of one of them, and I can put a piece of my hand-drawn fodder in there. Some fodder leaves into a big pocket. Here as a journaling place in another pocket, and you can see one of my digital stamps through the paper. This is a little card in a belly band. Here's 3 triangle pockets that I whitewashed on a whitewashed paper bag piece. This is half of a large envelope, and inside is a little book that I made using 2 of the squares that are still attached. a little bit of fodder pocket here, and the colors go great with the ice cream and the candies, you know. I'm not done with the book, as you can see, but I just wanted to take some time to show you